So we got the 52 pushed back inside. Getting ready to put in the new rear cab mounts and start working on the suspension. We have a full air ride system going in the rear, and we're gonna have to modify probably a bunch of other stuff that's in the way, and we're gonna make this thing cool. Here's just a pile of the parts that we're gonna be putting in this weekend. Full 4-link kit with C-notches, bag mounts, nice heavy duty control arms, all kinds of stuff in this boxes. So I've unboxed all the parts for the rear air suspension kit. Show you a couple of these pieces here. Nice greasable bushings on this end. The other end is an extremely heavy duty rod end. Cross member, extremely well built. The lower spring perches, heavy duty. Bag will mount right on the back of that and line up to our C-notch plate. That'll hold the 14 bolt in. Looks like it's gonna be a good kit. Rear body mounts being replaced because the bushings are totally worn out. Worn through the rubber, so we got these new ones which are like a cast piece. So look at this stock motorhome suspension. Leaf springs and a big thick sway bar. We're gonna try and retain the sway bar, but we're gonna put the 4-link airbag system in it next. So I'm getting everything marked out here for the kit, and I have my C-notch set on top of the frame, and I realized that the kit is actually for a truck and not a P chassis, which I knew that. But I believe that I'm gonna have to get a different rear end to save myself a bunch of cutting, because the wheel is actually making contact with the upper plate. Yeah. And so I'm removing this cross member to replace it with the upper cross member for the control arms. Easiest way to do this, I usually cut halfway through with the rivet and then just air chisel. Takes them right off. Then once you get the heads all chiseled off, just come in here with the point, knock them through. It's that easy. Now that I got all the rivets cut out of the cross member, take it, bang that out of there, and get this one put in. So after pounding it with a hammer, I got it to move quite a bit, but I don't see how I'm gonna get it out of the frame. Hopefully the new one doesn't go in this hard, but we're gonna sawzall this beam in half. Now that I got the beam cut in half, it's just gonna hard to do one-handed, but it should bang out of there pretty easy. So I ran into my first snag with the air suspension. As you can see, the cross member sitting next to the tire is pretty parallel with the tire when I have it sitting this way. If I flip it over, you can see how it's sitting crooked. This piece got welded on crooked. You can actually see, like looking at it, how the holes don't line up on this side. Like down here, if I can get it to show it. Hard to see on the camera, but this piece was definitely welded on crooked, so I'm gonna have to cut it off, put it in the frame, and then weld it back together to fix it. So I've taken my bolt-in, no welding required cross member and cut it in half, so that way I can weld it back in properly once I actually install it, so that way it's not bent. And the fun just keeps coming. So I got the cross member cut and I'm trying to install it, and it looks like it's too wide, but the bolt holes do line up. So what it is the frame is actually thicker on the P chassis than the C chassis that I ordered this stuff for. So now I'm gonna have to take and notch the frame in order to allow the bolts to come in. And oh yeah, of course the motorhome section that's been welded onto the frame is in my way too. So I'm gonna have to cut this and notch it with the grinder. Fun, fun. All right, so after taking and removing this section of the motorhome portion, my bolt holes are actually lining up, at least 3 out of the 4. Looks like I'll have to drill this one. But I was able to just notch the frame in a little bit to get it to set. So I'll have to do the same thing on the other side to get it to fall down in there. And the bottom holes, once it sinks in, should line up on this side, and then re-weld the bottom piece on that side. Well, I got the cross member laid in as I hoped it would have fit. It's really close. Upper bolts are just about there, but those are nowhere near close. I'm gonna have to cut this side off just like I did the other. Got those 3 bolts in over on that side, and well, that hole lines up, except for that's not the hole that's supposed to. Well, with a ratchet strap of ice grips and a punch, I finally got the holes to kind of line up. So let's see if we can get bolts in them. So I got the new upper cross member bolted in. We got all 3 on that side, and this side I got those 2. This one's still a little bit off, and then we have to drill that one and that one. And then the upper cross member just needs the pieces I cut off the bottom welded back in once they're bolted to the frame. Now that I got the top half bolted to the frame, I've taken my pieces and reattached them with bolts. And as you can see, when they welded it together, they weren't even close. Both sides are pretty far off, but we'll weld them back together for this no weld bolt-in kit, and everything should be good. I've reattached the lower mounts to the cross member. Should be good and strong. Shouldn't have anything to worry about there. Due to the fact that we want to go wider on the tires, I believe what we're going to do is get a 2005 2500 Chevy HD differential, because then we'll get posi and a 373 gear, which will give us higher wheel speed for doing burnouts. So the rear suspension, we need to order some parts for to finish, and that's where we're at on it. And then the front suspension here, we removed the rubber bottom mount, but we're still hitting on this stump. So we're gonna take and cut this off and see how low we can actually get the suspension before the ball joints start to bind. And so we removed the stop, because the airbag is going to be the bottom out when we're done here. So we're getting some measurements for the front suspension to get the airbag put in. We're going to pull these monster heavy ass rotors off and see if we can't turn them and give them a new finish. It's nice as the shock's already on the outside of the control arm, so we don't have to deal with relocating it when we do the air spring. Got that section of the frame cut out. Getting ready to put the mount in for the airbag. Got that ground ready to weld. All right, we're working on the front suspension here. We got our upper bag mount mounted, the lower one tacked in, and now that we got the bag mounts put in, we realized that the upper ball joint doesn't have enough angle on it when we go all the way down.
So what we're gonna have to do is change the angle of the upper ball joint by taking and cutting. You can see across here, we're gonna cut across the control arm, and we're gonna angle the ball joint down a few degrees, so that way when we go all the way down with the bag, we don't have extra stress being put on the upper ball joint when it's laid out. So should be a pretty quick, easy modification. We got our front suspension put together for test fitting. The plates are pretty much welded in. The upper control arm, we had to cut across here and bend it down so that we could change the angle of the ball joint. There's steering gear, we got that mounted. I still have to figure out the steering shaft and exactly how I'm gonna do that. Then brakes, I'm waiting on a couple parts that didn't come in like they were supposed to, so I'm gonna have to put it back together without the brakes and then take it back apart again. And we're ordering the rest of the air suspension to get this thing hopping next week.